A study by the Department of Communication Studies of the University of Ghana has detailed an extensive abuse of journalists in Ghana's media industry. The research, in partnership with the Media Foundation for West Africa, shows male journalists suffer more physical abuse than their female counterparts. The launch of the report is part of activities marking the 50th anniversary of the department. There's more in the following report by JoyNews editor Fifi Kumse.
The report captures many issues affecting Ghana's media and media freedoms, but key among the highlights was abuse of journalists. Politicians, police, and political fanatics were found to have been behind most of the abuses.
That masks the true picture.
Professor Audrey Gajipo presented highlights of the report.
So journalists feel insecure. They think that the environment they're working in is increasingly threatened, and so that there are violations to their safety, all kinds of violations.
In the study, less than 10% of journalists said they were, quote, definitely safe. Almost 25% said they were, quote, definitely not safe, while 64% said they were somewhat safe. Aside from the attacks, the report revealed many journalists are poorly paid, a situation that is fueling bribery and corruption.
Also, that many journalists work without contracts. This is a formal space, but many journalists work without contracts. There are no established structures for promotion, so it's not clear what will determine whether you'll be promoted or not. Again, it depends on the whim of the media manager, sometimes the media owner, and that sort of thing.
Also highlighted was what researchers described as political capture of the Ghanaian media. Ironically, the media under attack has also been captured by politicians. What the researchers described as political capture of the Ghanaian media. Politicians own most of Ghana's broadcast media, a situation that threatens accountability of politicians and people in government.
Partisan actors in our media space, and therefore these people can control our public discourse.
The launch of the report is part of activities marking the 50th anniversary celebration of the Department of Communication Studies. NMC Chairman Mr. George Sapon launched the report with former Trade Minister Dr. Ekos Piogabra.
Officially launch the State of the Ghana Media Report 2023. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
The launch of the report brought together alumni, faculty members, and other dignitaries. Some of them shared thoughts about the report.
The most important part of the report for me is that in spite of all the challenges that media personnel face, they still believe that the atmosphere is sufficient for them to create, to report, to participate in media freedom.
This is research, this is science, this is data that is verifiable, this is data that is telling us the lived experiences of journalists and their managers and owners in the industry. So if we are truly committed to building and developing our media industry, we must take on these findings and begin to, come up with initiatives that will bridge the various gaps, especially with the welfare issues.
And this is a good opportunity for people in the media to actually engage the people in academia to try and understand why some of these problems came up and what we can do to solve the problem. So for me, my greatest interest is that this should serve as a tool that will bring together academia and industry to look at ways we can improve the media landscape.
The Ghanaian media needs help. That's at the heart of this report that the authors hope will inform changes in the media landscape in Ghana. Fifi Kumsin, JoyNews.
GJA President Albert Kwabena Domfoy is actually challenging media owners to do more to protect journalists.
As a state institution, you can't keep information to your chest. Like we are all condemning the NCA for not being transparent with ownership, we still entreat the police to do better. Even though it's a security agency, they should know that they are working with the public, they work for the state, and they are responsible to the public. And I will use your platform. I have said this. We indicated it in our earlier statement that, look, the police should change their style because, especially when it comes to the regions and the community, information flow is not going down. You cannot, if you think that the information is not needed, why issue a one leave statement? If you think information flow is not good and you think that there's no need, you don't owe the media any information, why is it that whenever you start a case, you issue a statement? Is the statement meant for the police or meant for the public? So the same public is asking that you change your style and start confronting your responsibility by letting the public know what the work you are doing, investigations you are doing on some national matters of national interest and all that. I believe that this is a right.
In that study, less than 10% of journalists said they were definitely safe. Almost 25% said they were definitely not safe, while 64% said they were somewhat safe. In the study, less than 10% of journalists. Well, we can speak with Manasseh Azuri Awene, who is with the Fourth Estate. He's joined us shortly. I'm grateful for your time. First, let's look at what the research says. I want your preliminary observations of the extensive abuse of journalists and the capture of media landscape by politicians.
Well, Aisha, these issues are not new. I think what is new to some aspects of it is, this report is the fact that they have been able to assign percentages or figures to some of the issues we've been dealing with. Anybody who has practiced in the media for the past 10 years in this country would realize that the past 6 years have not been the same. There have been repeated abuses, and the highlight of it being the murder of Ahmed Swali, which the state is doing very little or nothing to get to the bottom of it. So these issues for me are very important. Sometimes we talk about them on individual basis. Once it happens, we talk about them and then we leave it. But this is a report that goes beyond the journalists who have faced the attacks. And then you have quite close to a quarter of Ghanaian journalists surveyed for this report saying that they definitely are not safe. And I think that should be a great cause for concern.
Mm. The report also highlights the payment of journalists being very low. Does this in any way affect the quality of their job?
It definitely does. And what this does also is that it allows some of the finest brains to get poached by other industries. You have a lot of experienced journalists who now go into corporate communications or take up jobs elsewhere. And part of the reason is that they are not paid well. If you're a journalist on top of your game and you compare how much you earn to how much your colleagues who may not be as high as you earn in other industries, you won't be motivated to do this work, especially when you realize that the kind of risk you put yourself into as a result of your duties, as a result of the work you do, you may feel very discouraged. So a lot of the young ones some are not even paid at all. If you go to every media house in Ghana, and I'm saying every media house in Ghana, you will find journalists who have worked for 2 to 3 years without being paid. And a lot of the time, they are hanging on because there are no jobs and they are hoping that they will be employed. The media owners also knowing that, well, these are hands, they engage them and sometimes use them just like they are normal workers. But when it comes to payment, they don't get anything. So such people may want to harass event organizers to be able to get transportation and also something to keep their bodies and souls together. So for me, it is a very serious problem, and media owners may need to sit up. And I think it is just tied into how frequencies are given. Those with the investment and the resources to set up media houses and run them as such don't often get the frequency. So if you are politically affiliated, you easily get it. And so they use them for their political propaganda and attract quite a number of young people, and they don't pay them anything. So for me, these are very serious challenges that have been highlighted by this report, for which reason the Department of Communication Studies and its partners, they need to be commended, but beyond that, we should be able to see concrete actions.
In this report, definitely media owners need to do more to actually improve on the condition of service of journalists who work for them. But the report also states that media houses themselves do not make enough revenue. I mean, how can we strike a balance so that media houses can actually help journalists to be better?
If you cannot sustain your production, don't go into it in the first place. As I sit here, if somebody gives me a frequency to start a radio station, I won't accept it because I don't have what it takes to run it. So when you set up a media house, when you employ people who come to work every day, then you should do what is possible to be able to get them paid. If you are not earning money, why are you on air? So I think that there should be other innovative means or ways of making revenue, because you have quite a number of problems facing the media today. The internet, social media, and others are taking a chunk of the advertising revenue from traditional media organizations. So there should be other avenues to raise money. So I don't think that it is a lie if they say they are not earning enough. But once you employ people, once somebody wakes up in the morning, prepares and comes to work, and they work up to the end of the month, you owe them something. And if you get to a point that you feel that this media organization I'm running, I'm not making profit, I can't pay my workers, just relinquish the frequency so that if anybody with the financial muscle to start a radio station or a television station, be able to pay their workers, needs it, they can get it. But quite a number of people have hijacked those frequencies and they are not using them for anything profitable.
I'm grateful for your time. Manasseh Azori is an investigative journalist with the Fourth Estate.